Welcome back to Light It Red. Today, this is our special Halloween edition episode. We don't have anything spooky planned, but it's almost Halloween, so...
if you want to be spooked, you can just go watch NC State football. That'll probably help you out.
Good save.
Yeah.
In the spirit of last year, we had a special episode last year. Do you remember?
We did?
Yeah, we had like a special post for it and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Stone, take that post down! Yeah,
I do remember that.
Yes.
For those of you that are confused, just really quick, we posted something about all of us, I guess, when Patrick was here, we were all like, had photos of us previously dressed up or whatever for different stuff. And I used to work at the YMCA, and they did this event or whatever where you would dress up. And so I dressed up as like Buzz Lightyear, and I like won everything and was like the best dressed or whatever. It was cool. But either way, I like got a photo with the other girl, because there was a guy and a girl of like who also they voted as the best one, and they took a photo of us, and so Griffin and them grabbed it and they thought it was my girlfriend, so they posted it on the Light It Red Instagram, and my girlfriend at the time was like, "Oh, what is this?" I was like, "Oh my God, what did you guys just do?"
He freaked out. Stone was always like the level-headed one, and then he freaked out about that, and Patrick and I are like, whoa, like, did we make a mistake here? Like, this dude. And it wasn't even that deep. Like, I felt like...
No, it was funny. It was just, their response makes you freak out, so that was what it was mostly, but...
Yeah,
it was
that's
hilarious.
as scary as it'll get today. No, today we're gonna go over what we've missed over the past 2 weeks, and we're gonna discuss the recent news regarding NC State's former starting quarterback Grayson McCall, and then we have a bingo sheet we're gonna fill out. So we'll end it on more of a fun note, and we'll do that together. We'll fill out our card, and for fall sports, try to get bingo for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
it'll make sense once we do it.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
So starting off, Stone, I know you went to a really big men's soccer game, and so that's fresh on your mind-ish. So if you could talk about that first before anything, that'd be great.
Yeah, so NC State men's soccer has been doing pretty good so far. Leading up to this game, they've had a good amount of wins. They did end up losing against Carolina and Duke, which was unfortunate, but they rattled off a ton of ties. But it was mainly ties to some of the best teams in the country. Number 2, Stanford, we tied 0-0. And Virginia Tech, who was ranked 24 at the time, we tied 0-0. Hofstra is 21, surprisingly, and we tied them 1-1. So we've been playing up to the level of competition similarly to ranked teams. And we got ranked a little bit in that realm, then got back out. But we had a big ACC matchup versus one of the best soccer teams in the ACC, and that is SMU, brand new ACC team, and they were ranked number 10, I believe, at the time. And they came in, and we steamrolled them, obliterated them, 5-1. It was SMU's worst loss in a long time. It was NC State's best win, I mean, just in general, over at least the last 12 years. Like, not even a question. Best win in like 12 years, highest ranked team, margin of victory with it being a 4-point victory, and it was just great. I was very shocked. Majority of the scoring was in the first half, so obviously in the second half, the second period, they were like not trying to really put up the scoreboard or anything. They were more so trying to defend, so they had an extra defender back, and were playing. If they had the ball, they were just kind of kicking it to each other back and forth a little bit in the back and maybe going up to try and get a score here and there. But they were playing more defensive in the second half because they were already up by a lot. And so this could have been, honestly, even more than 5-1, which 5-1 is already an amazing, soccer score. But great game to go to. It was the best game we've had in a long time. And the players are obviously super stoked, but the biggest thing for me is got to be the coaching. I mean, you change one thing, bring in a new coach. Obviously, he brings in new players. We keep a few stuff, and the team completely explodes like this, and they're winning at the right time. And he just seems like a really organized and just straight to the point, level-headed dude. And I think that may just be exactly what NC State needed after a turmoilous, or maybe not that, but more so just a season that wasn't obviously as good as you would have hoped last year in history and everything. And so sometimes you just need someone to come in and really kind of set the record straight and get stuff going and make guys, focused. And that's exactly what I think he's done. And he's clearly got his vision there. But they're doing great. They're doing awesome. They beat William and Mary 4-2 in their last game. And then they have 2 more games before the ACC tournament, and it's Louisville and Wake Forest. Louisville is the last home game. Wake Forest is going to be at Winston-Salem. And after that, we will go into the ACC tournament. So no matter what happens in those 2 games, I think we definitely should keep an eye on men's soccer if you're an NC State fan of sports and everything, because maybe they can end up doing something there.
Yeah, definitely some postseason play to look forward to with the men's soccer team. What did Coach Hubbard say after that game, just out of curiosity?
So he's more of like I said, kind of like a straight, to the point. He's not dwelling on a ton of stuff. He was obviously, talking about being focused on the next game and everything. But I had asked him more of like a general, broad question, because I'd gone there specifically for kind of a story on the season. So I wanted to get more of like a broader question rather than just asking, hey, why'd you do this in this game or whatever, Yeah. And he kind of was speaking a lot about the, I guess, toughness in terms of how hard it was in the beginning to really like move down here and bring his family down here and essentially have to restart everything, whether it's everything that he built at his other place or just even, he seems like a real family guy. Even before I had talked with him, we waited because he was just talking with his kids and his wife and I think a friend that was there. So he seems like a very family-oriented dude, and it seemed like he was really, the answer that he gave, half of it was just based on having to move all his family and everything down here. So just in terms of a guy, I think the other coach we had obviously came off as more personable with the players. And I think this coach, it still is, but I think he's more traditional in the fact that he expects a lot out of his players. And I mean, even during games, like there was a time where the music was off and like it was just playing and you could just hear him yelling so loud. And I don't know if you don't know, you're sitting on the other side of where the coaches are in the soccer field. And the soccer field's like, pretty big. And so you're sitting on the opposite side and you can hear exactly what he's saying in the curse words that he's yelling from across there. So he really gets on his players. And I didn't see a ton of that, honestly, last year. And I think it's just different coaching styles. But he seems very focused, family oriented, and got his, he's got his plan and he tries to make the most of it. And I think he's actually a pretty good X's and O's guy in terms of best strategy because, they really, when they got up to a goal, there weren't many times where they didn't end up scoring. They didn't get to it a ton, but I think he has his like elongated process of wearing them out, getting the ball to the right guy, and then once you get close enough, taking advantage of it. And they had maybe 3 goals where the first guy missed, but it's okay. The second guy hit it and he got in, and if he didn't get it, the third guy 100% got it, like a header or something. And that happened like 3 times. So I think he's really got a lot of them to buy in as a team, because that kind of is what this team feels like. It really feels like a collection of really good players rather than some sort of like great standouts or anything. Everyone just seems to be really doing their job and buying in.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I guess we'll briefly talk about women's soccer. A lot less.
Also, by the way, I didn't say it. NC State is ranked 13th right now in the country.
The soccer team?
Yep. SMU is 23, who we beat, but NC State is 13, and they have, in terms of record-wise, they have the least amount of wins of anyone in that top ranking. So clearly, they think very highly of us.
It's 6-2-5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure that I read 19? Is it 13?
Oh, I think it got updated recently.
Okay.
As of a day ago. So we are 13, and teams like Duke and Carolina, who both beat us, are above us at 8 and 10. So it's kind of close there with the ACC.
Cool. So like I said, women's soccer. I'm not gonna really hyper analyze it because I haven't been to any of those games lately. I just know that it's been a little bit of a turbulent season. We have a loss versus UVA, a tie versus Syracuse, a win versus Clemson. Those are the 3 games that they've played since we last recorded. So a win and a tie and a loss. So, kind of
take what you can get. Yeah.
Yeah. They're playing Virginia Tech tonight as we speak. Today is Thursday the 25th.
4th.
and then they play Wake Forest on the 31st on Halloween. So those are the last couple of games, and then the season will probably conclude.
Yeah.
I don't envision a postseason appearance from them. So
Neither do I. You never know, but probably not.
yeah. So we'll revisit them on our bingo card, but other than that, not much to say about women's soccer this season. Kind of a disappointment. If you wanted to just talk about the recent football games, and then we'll come back to volleyball.
Yeah, sure. So I don't know about you guys. Me personally, I was definitely, maybe because it was my first year at NC State, I was more invested in last year's team, to be honest. I'm still watching everything and all that, but I mean, I'm not ashamed to say I've had 2 different games for NC State where I literally turned the game off in the first half and then the first quarter, with Clemson and Tennessee, respectively. So, it's been, an interesting year. But last week, I would say, I'm not even going to talk about the game 2 weeks ago. It was against Clemson, at Clemson. Clemson's a better team. They have got a very good quarterback, formerly from Ohio State, and I just don't think we're better than them. So that's just it. It was 24-17, but we got a garbage time touchdown. So really, they beat us kind of handily than the scoreboard seems. But the bigger one, the more interesting one, was against Cal. So in our last episode, obviously, we kind of went over, the state of NC State football right now in terms of where they are compared to the ACC, and they were kind of like in the dumps, I would say. They were with the lower group for sure, and Cal was in there, maybe even above us analytically, and we, it was on the road. Their first game, at one of the new ACC teams, which obviously are not on the Atlantic coast, which is, stupid, but whatever, in California against Cal, and we were down. I'll just skip to the end. We were down by 10 going into the fourth quarter. So I was like, all right, well, that's great. And we, lose a road game. That sucks. We had 2 fumbles and got just run over with Cal having 85 more rushing yards than us. So they controlled the ground game, and we had turnovers. But, just really good end game drives, and I guess I would say some luck from us because Cal, they missed a pretty easy field goal there at the end that gave us the win by 1 point. But overall, in terms of at least being a little positive, it was the best game from an NC State quarterback since I've been here, which would have been the past 2 years, and maybe it could be even more in terms of maybe who was playing last year. I wouldn't say, guys we had maybe obviously Ryan Finley was kind of later, but Devin Leary, probably not, but in terms of relatively recent history, it was the best game an NC State quarterback has had, for sure. He's over the past 2 weeks, CJ Bailey, by the way, so I'm talking about, obviously came in for Grayson McCall, which, we can get into his stuff really soon after this, but over the past 2 weeks, CJ has shown a lot of progression. He has 2 touchdowns and 6 picks, over 300 yards in both games. He did take a lot of sacks, and I think some of them were kind of unnecessary and forced by him because I think I think the coaching staff has probably engraved in him to not run a lot. It doesn't seem like they really want him running the ball a ton, so when he is getting pressured, sometimes he just folds and just takes the sack rather than doing something else, which, I think in some cases is good to where you're not forcing something. But other times you could kind of see maybe the pressure caves in from the outside and you're you could easily just run up the middle behind your center. No one's there, and he just doesn't do it. But that's, probably what the coaching staff is trying to tell him to do. But the biggest thing for me was, even when he did take sacks, he made a lot of, let's say if he took a sack on second down, on 3rd and 12, he gets the first down and makes it. I'm like, okay, well, he made up for it. But the NC State touchdown that they had on 4th and goal to essentially, technically win the game, even though there was still time on the clock, it was great. It was a rollout, lob, perfect pass on the sideline, in the back goal line. It was just high enough to get over the defender and just low enough for the receiver to catch it. It was a perfect pass on the run. So you see stuff like that, and you feel really good about it. Our next 2 games are going to be at home versus Stanford. I really hope that we win that game. I expect a home win. If you want to go see a win at home, go to that game because we should win. And then on the road versus Duke, which is going to be the hardest game that's remaining, but I think we can totally do it if we don't hurt ourselves. It's also at home because we went to Duke last year. It'll be a lower scoring defensive game for sure. But I think we're just going to have to edge them out with just at least getting one or two more good drives on offense than them. And I think that's very possible. But I'd say there's a little, maybe not hope immediately in terms of, all right, we're going to get 8 wins. It's still possible because that's the only amount of time that's left. Maybe Dave Doran sneaks in his regular 8-9 win season. But right now it's looking like 6-6, maybe 7-5 or something like that. But I think progression is good from the quarterback that maybe we will probably stick with. I agree with you in terms of keeping him. I still think we should, if there is a really good transfer, if there is a really good freshman that wants to come in as a recruit, you don't deny him because I think it's good competition that raises maybe CJ's ceiling. But that's kind of the state of football right now. But I would say he showed a lot in that Cal game, so we should be pretty happy about that.
Yeah. No, the only reason I say that, you want to keep CJ Bailey is just because of the size,
Yeah, he's 6'7",
very
ideal,
right? 6'7".
Yeah, I don't know if he's that big. He might be, but he might be 6'5", but he's very ideal build.
Well, either way, 6'5" and above for a quarterback, there's just so much you can do there. Very rarely
6'6" in between
6'6",
us. 6'6", 190. So he is thinner, obviously, but 6'6" still.
I feel like there's just, how many tall NFL quarterbacks can you name that flop? Besides, even Mike Glennon.
Paxton Lynch.
Well,
I can because I'm weird, but again, the odds are: would you rather, if everything's the same, would you rather have a tall or short? You just always got to pick the taller guy,
right.
And we've seen. Not saying it's the same, but the only thing for me, if we're thinking of the future, would be bulking up to increase his, just durability. But we've seen guys like Jalen Hurts do that throughout his career, and people. So I'd say the only thing would be hopefully he kind of bulks up a little bit at 190, But I agree. I really like the mold that we got.
Brock Osweiler.
Yeah, Brock. But he had his success.
He got his bag.
Yeah.
He was very good.
Had some playoff wins.
He was like 6'7", I think.
Yeah, something really tall. Something around there.
Anywho, before we talk about McCall, we'll do a slight detour to volleyball, just so we can recap what's been going on in that sport. They've beaten UNC, Duke, Notre Dame, all 3 in a row, and lost to Louisville. So those are our last 4 games since we've recorded.
Which I'd say that's
great.
That's good.
3-1.
And Louisville's a good team, so
they're ranked number 4. So
just like last year, basically around the same.
They were top 5 last year, so that's not a bad loss. They've got Georgia Tech on the 25th, which is tomorrow, Clemson on the 27th, and Syracuse on November 1st. They are 10-6 on the season, so getting there. I feel like we still need to keep an eye on them to see how that season develops. But right now, I'd say they're on track in terms of where they were last year. The ACC is stacked, though.
Yeah, you got
Pitt's number 1, Louisville's number 4, Stanford's number 5,
SMU is 12,
Georgia Tech number 17, FSU 19, and UNC 25. So that's 7 teams in the top 25.
And Virginia is in the other receiving votes as well.
So it's
Miami.
It's tough competition right now. But Georgia Tech, Clemson, and Syracuse are not amongst those teams. So,
so ideally,
next few games, they should win them.
Maybe get ranked.
Yeah, that's the goal. Also, just on the 1st of November, I want to just mention ACC Championships in cross country coming up in Cary this year.
Nice.
So,
that's where
Wake Med Soccer Park.
Yeah, I not in Cary, but basically next to it is where I generally live when I'm not on campus. So
yeah, I will definitely be there for that one.
That's cool.
They, it's once in a blue moon that the ACC championships are in Raleigh Raleigh area. So, if you can, it's at 9:30 in the morning, day after Halloween.
Wow,
so,
really?
Don't party too hard on Halloween and come out to Cary.
Well, I am, so I won't be able to do that.
Well, I'll be there. I don't know if that tells you anything about who I am versus who Stone is, but I'll be there. So now that we've gotten those sports out of the way, we were supposed to record on Tuesday, so today's Thursday, the day of recording. This will probably come out
Saturday, maybe. Yeah.
So we were supposed to record on Tuesday. the worst technical difficulties we've ever encountered.
Like literally ever.
It was terrible. Like you pull the keyboard out, the keyboard falls into your lap.
Fell
like,
down.
Things were breaking. Computers were crashing. Programs weren't working. Anyways, it was a blessing in disguise because if we had recorded Tuesday night, then we wouldn't have been able to report on Grayson McCall's retirement,
which is massive news.
Massive news. Even, this is national news. ESPN picked it up. I'm pretty sure New York Times picked it up.
Yep.
So now we are. Day after it happened, we have followed Grayson McCall's season very closely. What are your thoughts on this? Because before we get into anything, I just want to say this is it's weird. It's weird to hear about a quarterback at the college level, quote unquote, retiring. Now I know that's not the language he used, but that's what everyone else has said.
I mean, he kind of did.
He said hanging up the cleats.
Yeah. So
I mean, we know that means
kind of
retiring.
implies, but
leaving the sport.
First of all, obviously for both of us, feel very sorry for him and his, what happened in his situation and everything. But, getting into kind of the logistics of it. So at Coastal Carolina, I mean, he was there for, I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 years. It may have been 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. And he had some awesome success, had times where they were ranked at Coastal Carolina. And then last year, his coach left, and a lot of the main players that were on that team left. And he was not bad, just wasn't as good. And then he got nailed and got a concussion midway through the year and was out for the year. So then he comes here, pretty highly anticipated recruit. Transfer. I was definitely excited because looking at it, statistically and everything else, I think it was like, hey, this is much better than last year's situation with Brennan Armstrong. He just needs to adjust a little bit to the game in terms of playing ACC teams often. And, he came in and definitely needed that in terms of just getting used to playing with different guys and different competition. And I still think if he was still healthy, he would be progressing because that's just who he is as a player. He's just more talented thrower of the football. But, I mean, I can't remember what game it was. Maybe it was Louisiana Tech, but got nailed. And then that's when CJ came in at the half. And then I don't think he played again until that game against, who was it?
Where he got injured?
Yeah. Was it Syracuse?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Against so I said it was at Syracuse. Sorry, it was at home. But, yeah. And I couldn't go to that game. I was not in town. My girlfriend, funny enough, did, though. So she reported to me and was like, does this normally happen? I was like, no, this is not a normal thing. But he got they had a great drive going in that first game. They were about to score against Syracuse. I wouldn't be shocked if they maybe would have won that game. Probably not, but it would have been a really good game. And just he was running a lot during that drive. And I feel like that was the biggest mistake. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but he was not Brennan Armstrong. Brennan Armstrong's legs were pretty underrated and good. Grayson McCall could get out of the pocket to throw it, but he shouldn't have been running up the middle as much as he was at all.
Agreed.
And that's how he got injured every single time. Every single time. It wasn't a sack. Now, you could get injured from a sack, but the force of two people hitting each other like that it's just different when two people are running at each other, even if he's trying to slide. And he didn't even really, if you watch it, he should have slid. He didn't slide earlier, and it's unfortunate to say that, but he really didn't. And I, respect the toughness, but I think sometimes you just got to think man, what if I did this or that? And he just got obliterated by maybe 5 defenders. It was insane. And on TV, you could only see the bottom right corner, and it was just him laying on the ground, and it was almost like a hybrid Tua situation. And you're like, oh, crap. Oh, my God. And that was, I guess, now going to be his last, snap of football, which I agree with, I will say. I think this is different than Tua. Tua is being paid millions of dollars and has made it so far and has a lot of his own reputation and just his personal stuff on the line to where he wants to continue. Whereas Grayson, maybe if he had a good, successful second half, could be a late, maybe undrafted free agent and maybe break out somewhere there. But realistically, the odds were stacked against him in terms of being some sort of prospect and having a future. And I think if clearly the doctors are, obviously his family, I think, would have wanted his health over his, profession. But I think the doctors obviously were, kind of more inclined to say, we would suggest you do this. And I think he's thinking with a smart head in terms of doing that. But it is, I feel bad for him. It's an unfortunate situation, but, that is, unfortunately the game that they play.
Yeah, I think you covered pretty much all of it there. I don't have much to add other than I told you. I said this a couple episodes ago. I said I didn't think he would ever play football again. And then he did play football again, and now he won't
so
play
just
football again.
Yeah.
So I was very close. And you were surprised when I said that. And I was like, concussions are no joke. So why? I don't know why he... I mean, obviously he was cleared, whatever.
Well, I guess it was more so... I mean, because technically he did play again. It
should have been wearing a Guardian cap.
Yeah.
Do they have those at the college?
I don't know. They should get it, though.
Did you hear Tua?
Yes, I heard Tua.
Are you going to wear a Guardian cap?
He's a moron.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Tua...
I thought it was
It's a
funny.
different situation. It's just... But I feel like he is doing himself a disservice. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
know.
I
And
don't know either.
at least respect to McCall for giving up something that he loved, for his own health.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd say, you're right. He ended up not playing, but he did play after, and I guess it was more so just because he
played one
was
drive.
stable or just unstable, and just maybe if he stayed in the pocket more, he could still be playing, and maybe he would have, I don't know, in a few weeks, maybe a big hit happens in the sack, and that's it. I don't know. But I think that one, to the degree it was amplified because of the nature of the play, of him running forward, not sliding, nailing two different people, and then two other guys towards 4 or 5 defenders all on him at the same time. So I think the nature of it probably is what affected this. And maybe if there was other stuff that wouldn't have, happened. But
yeah. Yeah, I had heard that Dave Doran went to the hospital after, and Grayson told him, "Yeah, I thought about sliding, but then I didn't." That was the quote from Grayson
really?
McCall.
That's what the quote was?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought about sliding, but I didn't. So that's his legacy. Not really. I don't know.
Really unfortunate.
He also, while he played here, he only accounted for touchdowns in the first game against Western Carolina.
Really?
Yeah, you can fact check that, but he was not good as our quarterback. So, it's unfortunate.
He was better than Armstrong, just statistically. And MJ
I don't know,
had better stats, but you could also say, what if MJ played in Charlotte at Tennessee or versus this Clemson team? I don't know. Statistically, I think, and just looks-wise, Grayson was a better thrower of the football than Brennan, but still definitely worse than what he was before. Because I think he needed to get adjusted to smaller windows, faster players, faster pass rush, different playbook. It would have taken time, and obviously against those teams, you don't have time. But I still think it would have progressed. But now it's all water under the bridge at this point, and it's unfortunate. But that's where we're at.
Yep.
And so hopefully he has a good life and everything after. Maybe stays connected. I don't know.
Yeah. When I said
he wants to go into coaching, I saw. So
yeah,
maybe he comes back as a coach. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, when I said it was his legacy, I meant it in a good way because he was, baller, hardcore, whatever.
Yeah, goes to Carolina, he'll totally be a legend for sure. Some of their best years ever.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on from Grayson McCall, we have our bingo card segment.
Actually, not moving on from Grayson McCall because one of my. We can start. I'll say it later.
Yeah. Spoiler alert: Stone has a bingo slot about Grayson McCall. Yeah, so we did these bingo cards. Basically a free for all. We did not do them together. Like, so they're not the same cards. They have different things. It's a 5x5. And the idea was that you would get obviously 5 in a row bingo, by, these different events or circumstances occurring in all of these fall sports. So cross country, volleyball, women's soccer, men's soccer, and football, all up for grabs here. And you kind of have to use your imagination a little bit to fill out the squares. So I think what we're going to do is we'll just do a quick reveal of what the squares are. And then from here on out, our last couple of episodes for Light It Red this season, we'll mark off the bingo cards at the beginning of each episode. And hopefully one of us gets bingo, because if we don't, then, that's kind of what a waste, right?
Still fun, fun to see what happens.
Yeah, so Stone, why don't you just go ahead and tell us what the Grayson McCall square was before the injury?
I only had one.
Okay.
And it was that
it was before the injury?
Yes.
Had
no...
Or before they announced.
Before they announced, yeah, I had no clue. And it was Grayson McCall plays again. And I was going to do, he doesn't play again, but I was like, I want some of these to be like hilariously hard, and then some of them to be like just fun, like easy, whatever. And this one was kind of like, yeah, I'll make it to where maybe he played, maybe, and that didn't happen. So that'll never happen. So I'll never get that that
Hope it
square
wasn't
there
in an important spot.
I don't know. We'll see if it was. It was possible to get with a free, but you'd have to do diagonal. So I guess we'll see. But
yeah,
that was one of them. So that'll
all right,
never happen.
Take me through the other 23, because you got a free space in there too, right?
Yeah. So we got a free space, which I'll X off now. But we can go back and forth in terms of saying different stuff. Let me actually go through what that line could have been. It was diagonal with the free spot.
Okay.
It was NC State football winning out. So they got 4 games left. Obviously, we brought up Stanford, Duke, I believe Georgia Tech, and Carolina, all of which I think are winnable games. And it's not likely, but it's also not impossible. So I think that one's really good. And then this one was men's soccer winning by 3 or more points to a Power 5 opponent. So them having another blowout win versus a Power 5 opponent, which obviously you say, hey, they just beat SMU by this much. It's like, well, soccer is not necessarily where it's like it carries over from game to game and you're going to blow out everyone. Like I said, they literally tied 4 games in a row before that. So obviously they keep it pretty close. And 3 or more points is definitely a blowout in soccer. So it has to be a Power 5 opponent. Can't be like some sort of knockoff. Or if they're ranked, like Hofstra was ranked, maybe if they're ranked or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the free space. And then it was a conference championship game appearance in any sport. So if NC State makes the conference title game, they don't have to win it, but if they just make it in any sport at all, that one probably won't happen.
Fall sport.
Yes, any fall sport.
I was just thinking we should do this again for the winter ones, because
sure.
I feel like it would be
or spring and everything
easier. Yeah, because we're kind of at the back end of the fall sports
yeah,
here.
we're kind of at the
so
end.
we might, we'll scrap this in November, and we'll do winter sports too
as well. Yeah, we can do both, but yeah, this one's just for fall. So any conference game appearance, I'll probably have that one on the other one as well. I guess you can use it if you want, but it's my idea, so mine. But hey, any of those could happen. But that's what would have been something if Grayson McCall played again, but that's not. But I could still get something with either one. So give me a row of yours. What do you have going on?
I'll do a diagonal row for my free space. I have a rivalry win. Women's.
What would you consider that be? Carolina Duke
in any sport.
Okay.
I would say is a rivalry win.
Yep.
Women's cross country ACC championship, which we will find out next week on Friday. Free space, women's soccer win out. So the next 2 games, they would have to win both of them.
Who do they?
They face Virginia Tech, which is currently actively tonight, happening right now.
All right.
And Wake Forest on Halloween.
Okay.
So they need to win both of those for me to get that bingo spot.
Probably not, but we'll see.
Well, we're having some technical difficulties in studio. We're not exactly sure where we left off here, but we should be on the bingo segment.
It's gonna sound dumb, but we were talking, and then a random message on this crappy computer came up. So we're like, okay, let me see what it is, and it just stopped recording. And then we're trying to find every way to listen, and we can't hear the audio at all. But we know that it's there. And when we export it to a different place, it's going to be there. But on this setup, we tried everything. We can't listen to where we left off, so we have no idea where we left off, so we're just going to continue talking.
Yeah, doesn't matter. At the beginning of the episode, we said we had some technical difficulties. We're still having technical difficulties. So we're going to run through the bingo segment very briefly now. I'm just going to go through my entire board.
Okay,
and then I want you to go through your entire board, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Go for it.
All right. I've got 100-plus receiving yards.
From anyone?
From anyone. Jordan Waters, 100-yard game, total yards.
Jordan Waters.
Okay.
Running back?
Game-winning field goal.
For NC State.
Men's soccer postseason win, which you kind of had.
True.
Rivalry win.
Duke or UNC.
Yep. Sold-out crowd.
For any game. Football, for sure.
QB rushing touchdown.
Yeah. He'll get one. Yeah. CJ.
10-plus kills in a game by an individual.
Oh, for volleyball? That's good.
Women's cross-country ACC championship victory.
Hopefully, ideally.
Men's soccer shutout.
Anyone?
Any game.
Okay. That's probably gonna happen.
Women's soccer score 3+ goals in a game.
I'm not sure how many times they've necessarily done that, but they're kind of up and down, so maybe
3+ sacks in a game.
For a player or team total?
Team.
Oh wow. But yeah, that's probably gonna happen. Should have done like Devin Van or something like that. Yeah, probably not.
Do you think I need to change it? It's too easy?
No, he's probably not good.
Free space. Men's soccer overtime win.
Okay.
Corner kick goal. Goal off a corner kick.
Yeah, like a header, backwards kick. Yeah.
Anyway, it can be men or women's soccer. Coach fired.
Anyone. Any coach?
Any coach.
Okay. I don't know.
Women's soccer win out. Last 2 games of the season here.
You had mentioned that.
Pick 6.
Okay.
Cross country qualifies for the national championship.
Wow. Yeah, probably.
Volleyball has an ACC player of the week.
All right.
Post game crash out.
Yeah, that was a coach freaking out.
Coach or player freaking out.
Yeah.
We have a 4-star recruit. Come on
4-star
to any sport.
You should have done 5-star.
5?
Yes, dude. Make it some kind of,
Fine.
get some, stuff in there.
5
4 stars.
stars.
We literally have a 4-star quarterback that's going to be there right now.
We go to extra points in a volleyball set.
Okay.
Women's soccer has an upset, which would probably be any win.
Any W.
And then football ACC player of the week.
Okay. Awesome.
Yes.
Nice. I think some of mine got mentioned. The last one I had mentioned was any DJ Burns appearance ever, in anything, which he's playing basketball right now, so maybe not,
China.
But who knows, NC State and NCSU Pac Pro has a very publicly bad game. And I would consider this could be, I would consider this, let's say if Russell Wilson completely sucked versus the Jets, which he didn't. He was actually very good. Which, I would say he's a Pac Pro.
Wait. Yeah, they did have a good game. Should I play George Pickens instead of Brian Thomas Jr.?
Are you actually asking me this while we're recording?
Well, if he did it on the Jets defense, then he could probably do it on the Giants defense.
Yeah, I said to play him over Neighbors.
Over Brian Thomas Jr.?
Either one. I like Pickens over him.
Don't want to put all my eggs on that.
Anyways, Mr. I have to hurry up and go, so let me just randomly bring up fantasy football in the middle.
I'm a fantasy guru.
I know, I can tell. Jeez. NCSU defensive touchdown, so we're kind of similar there. Obviously, I brought it up. Conference championship game appearance from any team. Football with a 10-plus point win, so they got to win by 10 or more. Volleyball gets a ranked win. Could be, obviously, any team that's ranked. Justin Jolie, our starting tight end, has a viral definitive moss of a defender. Like he just mosses a guy at all.
Okay, I like that one.
Completely. Like moss.
Hasn't he been done that this season?
One time. He's had a lot of spectacular catches, but maybe not contested, Yeah. But he's been a stud. So
you want to hear something funny really quickly?
What?
So I have a class with Juice
I know,
Vereen.
yes.
Since I've mentioned that, he showed up to class one time.
Just for really? He hasn't shown up at all?
Should I not be saying that?
Probably not. I mean, it's fair game. It's public knowledge.
Yeah.
Who cares if you have a class with people? I have a class with a guy. I just never talked to him. I don't know who he is, but I know he plays sports.
I just noticed. That might be an over exaggeration. He's only showed up like a few times. But I thought he dropped the
Dang.
class. But he showed up like a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh shit, Juice is still here.
Oh, you think that he listened to you say that he had a class and then just didn't show up?
Yeah.
All right, I don't know, but maybe
that's
you
what I
know,
thought.
you never know. You could have done that on your bingo card. Juice
He's
free
a-
and shows up to another class.
No, he's a really smart guy though. He's a really smart guy.
That's good.
Yeah.
My next one is similar. Coach fired. Obviously, Grayson McCall plays again. That's never going to happen. UNC or a win versus UNC in anything.
Okay.
So Dove versus Carolina
Hockey?
anything. Huh?
Hockey.
Anything. Yep.
Hockey shouldn't count.
Okay, then don't count it. Why'd you ask me that?
Well, it's on my bingo card.
If I go on Instagram and see a comment that says Dave Dorn needs to be fired, so that'll be a pretty good one for me.
At Patrick Simon.
Yep.
I miss him. He always had those like really popular takes that we could like engage with, you know.
What are we doing?
Well, he just like would bring those opinions to the table, you know what I mean?
Good talking points, yeah. To like bring up anything for content. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was funny. After that's my free space. And then contrary to a bad performance, this one is a very good notable performance from an NCSU alum. So I might just check that off. I think I am. Because Russ
Hey, you can't retroactively go back.
Well, I didn't think about it until then. Do you not want me to count it?
Well, no, you shouldn't be able to
Okay,
count.
I think it should, but it's fine.
We made the card after he had a good game.
Okay, well, I didn't really think of him at all. I was kind of thinking of like, I mean, baseball is, over basically, but I was thinking of like,
Love the Mets.
other
baby.
basketball or football players.
Let's go Mets.
Yeah, they did not make it, unfortunately.
They almost did, though.
Almost. I see a basketball player on campus. So that was probably pretty easy. What do you mean? I had to think of these last second.
I literally saw one at the fair.
Oh, that's great, man. I'm glad you did.
The team was at the fair last night.
Really?
Yeah.
They were?
The whole team.
Me too. Wait.
And I was there too.
And you didn't tell me.
None of us went together.
No, none of us. I didn't see any of them.
I also saw Casey Concepcion. At the
You
fair.
did?
Yeah.
I didn't know they were there.
It was a weird night.
Not for me. I had a great time.
Well, weird and great.
I guess, yeah.
Go
True.
together.
I go to any game and I'm not enjoying it.
Okay.
Anything.
The
I'm
UNC
not
game
enjoying.
you're going to later this
All
week.
right, let's not foreshadow anything, okay? Men's soccer, like I said, men's soccer wins by 3 or more versus a Power 5 opponent. KC Concepcion has a rushing and receiving touchdown in the same game.
I like that one.
So get back to his roots. Wait, did I have the same thing twice? I did. Any coach fire.
Oh.
I forgot.
You're going to have to change that one later.
All right, I'll change it to Grayson McCall retires. A post a post about last year's basketball team. People reminiscing
A post?
like from a professional NC State account of them reminiscing about last year's basketball team. Not counting
What do you mean a professional account?
like
Like
verified.
Barstool?
Verified, yeah. Barstool Tar Heel or I mean Barstool Pack or any
NC State
yeah,
Chicks?
yeah. Okay, well, I guess maybe that. But any like verified account that has some sort of, because I follow those, that has some sort of post reminiscing about last year's team, because I feel like they're going to do that like a lot.
Okay.
NCSU football wins out. I brought that up. Volleyball sweeps their opponent. So the other opponent doesn't win a single game. They just sweep them in every set. A football player transfers before the season ends, which probably is not going to happen anymore. But I had thought of that one, but I don't think it's gonna occur. A women's soccer wins versus a Power 5 opponent, and then a win versus Duke in anything as well. So maybe I'll think of something else for that other one. I don't really know. I forgot.
Yeah. We'll revisit it.
Huh?
We will revisit it.
Yeah, and
Yes.
we'll have more time for spring. That'd be cool.
Yes.
Or winter.
Perfect. All right, that's your card?
Yep.
Perfect.
Hopefully we win.
Well, we'll revisit the bingo segment on our next episode. Hopefully cross some squares off. Hopefully I get bingo before Stone because I
Probably.
deserve it more.
Don't know about that.
So I'm going to go eat some tacos, and this has been Light It Red.
Awesome. Tacos.